Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, Dustin Fox, Jason Lloyd, Tyvis Powell, plus, ba-da-da-da-da, you're loving him, Mikey McNuggets. And so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show starts now. Booyah!
Hey!
Hello!
Happy Friday, Cleveland sports fans. We are so glad to be with you. Welcome to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show on WKYC. Over the next 30 minutes, all Cleveland sports. We're going to ask in the next segment, of all of the players that are on the Browns that are free agents, which is most important that the Browns must re-sign? Someone's answer is going to shock you. Bull.
I'm Adam the Bull, and there is a basketball team in the city of Cleveland that has a great chance to go to the playoffs. And it's not the Cavaliers. G.
I'm G. Bush, and we're going to rate the trade today. 4 or 5 trades coming up, and to see if the Cavs can really do something before the trade deadline. You're going to be interested in seeing some of them. Jason.
Adam Silver has lost his mind. He needs to be committed. I'll tell you why. We're going to talk about it. Mikey.
Commissioner.
Yeah, I'm here just to provide numbers. Make these guys sound a lot smarter than they are. But let's dive right into it, Jay.
Who's going to help you look smarter?
I have Anthony and Steve back here.
He does it all by himself. To your point, G, everybody's looking at the Cavs as the trade deadline approaches, and there's many of them are now saying it's not do they need to make a trade, it's what trade do they need to make. Because we've seen they've hit a little patch here of rough basketball over the last 12 games. Mike, I know you've put into the trade machine, you've come up with a number of potential trades, and I think you're going to throw them out there and we're going to rate which one we most want, which ones are doable, whatever.
Yeah, so we did the big picture trades yesterday. Today, this is simply for the fact that the Cavs want to get under the luxury tax and avoid the repeater clock. These are the kind of deals they can make, one-for-one player swaps that would bring them below the luxury tax. Not the first apron, not the second apron, just the luxury tax, which they are right now just over $1.5 million above. And to stay where they're at would start the repeat offender clock, which would have major financial implications down the road. So if Kobe Altman says, hey, we don't want to start the clock now, these are some types of deals he could look at, swap a player for player to get the Cavs in a situation where they are not a luxury tax team. I got 5 deals. I'm going to present these to you guys, and you let me know, are any of these worth making? Do they improve the team? Is it a lateral move, but because you're under the tax, it's worth it, or you're not messing with something good? So 5 trades real quick that are one-for-one deals that bring you under the luxury tax.
By the way, I hope it's quicker than your explanation, which was the longest explanation.
The numbers matter.
In the
These
history
deals
of TV.
will be quick. These are quick. All right, let's take the first one, Steve. The Cavs could swap Isaac Okoro to the Kings for Trey Lyles. He's a stretch 4. It saves them $2.2 million, which would bring them under the luxury tax. The Cavs could also trade Isaac Okoro to the Charlotte Hornets, whenever you're ready, Steve, for Cody Martin, a big wing, not the best player, but it would save them $2.1 million, bring them under the luxury tax. Looking for a stretch 4, maybe you can flip Okoro into Jalen Smith from the Chicago Bulls. That saves $1.6 million, puts them right at the luxury tax number, does not start their updated clock. If it's not Okoro, maybe Karis LeVert. He makes $16 million. Brandon Clark, a athletic big for the Memphis Grizzlies, makes $12 million. That would save them $4.1, put them under the luxury tax. And we talk about all the complication with the first and second apron. A name that's been brought up a lot is Kevon Looney, because if they trade Okoro to the Warriors, they can get Kevon Looney back, and that would save them that $2 million they need. However, Golden State's a first apron team, and if you put that through the Spotrac trade machine, Steve, take the last graphic here, you get a denial because Golden State is a first apron team. They can't take on more money than not. So that's an implication
Memphis
down the road. No, the other teams, they all work. The other teams all
I'm still
work
trying to
this
figure
one.
out why you put that one up there if it's no good, Mike.
Because Looney's been mentioned a bunch of times as a guy who only makes $8 million.
Yeah.
I'm here to tell you that deal would not work.
Can't go.
With
merits.
just those 2 players.
With just those 2 players,
You could
correct.
throw in another player.
To match salaries, but then the Cavs don't get under the luxury tax.
I understand, yeah.
I
those
guess
are the
I'd
kind
do
of
any of
moves
those
you're looking
Okoro trades. None of those trades are very exciting.
To me, all of those would be making a trade for the sake of making a trade.
Kind of.
Getting under the, I know that getting under the number is the big reason you're doing it. So here's the question that they're asking. Is it more important that we keep our core, our team together because you're not adding a piece that's going to make anybody say, oh, now they're a championship team.
Right.
Is it more important that we keep our core together and stay slightly above the apron, or is it so punitive to get that clock going that we absolutely have to move this player, not just for this year, but for the future?
I think only Dan Gilbert can answer that question, because in terms of it being punitive, it's just money, whether they're over the cap or not.
So, yeah, you're right. You have to find out what his threshold of pain is.
Yeah, right.
There is another way. I don't like any of those trades.
I don't either.
Me either.
In fact, I wouldn't do any of those.
For the record, I don't like him either.
but
I was just
but there are
presenting.
potentials to get them
that's what the
to
framework
where
of the
they
deal
need to
would
be
look like.
under.
So what's the other way?
Oh, I don't think that it's going to be a very. I mean, Jimmy Butler's out there, De'Aaron Fox is out there. Those are big time moves across the NBA. Really, I don't think will impact Cleveland. Neither of those guys is coming here. But you can get under the tax. I think the Cavs could be active in the buyout market. So guys who aren't traded, veterans who make a lot of money, could get bought out if they aren't dealt. We saw that with Kevin Love a couple years ago. Made too much money, no interest really around the league, but it was time for those two to separate and move on, and Kevin went to Miami on a buyout. Ben Simmons is a name that's been out there. I think the Cavs like him. I think that they would like to have
do?
him. Yes, I think that.
Wow.
Because you look at him, he's long, he's athletic. He's a guy that he could come here and have no expectations and no pressure.
Well.
But you got to create a spot for him. So what you can do, if you take Tristan Thompson and Sam Merrill, you can move them into space. And the NBA changed its rules starting this year that frees up more opportunities for the Cavs to move guys, because you can now trade guys into the mid-level exception, which you could never do before. Right. We're not going to get lost in the weeds on that. The important part on that is there are more places to dump money than there used to be. So if you move Tristan and Sam, that gets you under the tax. It clears about $5 million, $5.5 million. And then you now have two spaces. And with what little you have to pay buyout guys, you could move those two, bring in two veteran minimums, prorated basically minimums.
When you say move,
and you're under the tax.
When you say move, they're off the team. Right?
They're off the team.
Okay.
Trade for a second round
So
pick.
now Sam may have value because
does.
Tristan has, I can't imagine he has any.
Tristan
value.
doesn't have any value. He's making 3.3-ish million.
But Sam has a role.
His only value is as a teammate.
Tristan,
Right.
he's a backup
That's it.
big. Are you good? Now here's the thing. Sam has played well in spurts. He's been
not
a
playing in
he's been a
playoffs,
great
right?
story. He's been a guy who's bounced around the league. The Cavs have done a nice job with him, developing him in the last couple of years. But Bull, you're right. Is he going to play big time minutes in a playoff series? Probably not. Ty Jerome's emergence has sort of taken priority over all of this, because now you got to find a way to try and bring him back next year. So if I think Sam is expendable. Tristan hurts because of what he means to the city, what he means to the locker room. But, these are the decisions that they have to make. They're in a tough spot. So
tell you this.
if you can cut the $5 million off, it creates two roster spots. You can be active in the buyout market, and it gets you under the cap.
If you tell me that you can go get me a 6'10" Ben Simmons, and McNuggets mentioned this on the YouTube show about a couple of days ago, and a lot of people in the comment section was like, oh, I don't want no parts of Ben Simmons. But I'm just to be honest with you.
Told y'all.
If you get 6'10" Ben Simmons and he's in the rotation, and he is a guy that you want to rebound, push the pace of the game, because he can push the ball and dribble and facilitate and play defense against the Jason Tatum.
A lot of ifs.
But isn't he afraid to shoot still?
Hey, we don't care about that.
Yeah, but you don't have to defend
He's
him.
a
That's his
liability
role.
on one side of the floor.
He can't shoot a three at all.
No.
At all. But again, it's what are you asking? Would you trade Sam Merrill and Tristan Thompson for Ben Simmons?
Yes.
Sure, of course.
That's what and these are just names that I'm putting out
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
Can I ask you a quick question before we move off of this? You talk to the Cavs. You get a sense of what they're willing to do. Do you get a sense of where Dan wants to be?
In terms of the tax?
Yes, because the money part of it is not fact. That doesn't matter.
It doesn't
What
matter about
matters
this
is,
year.
and this is the question Dan's asking his people. If we go into that number, is the punitive action that kicks in going to keep us from having our window open down the road?
It's going to it's not this year. It doesn't matter about this year.
Right.
It's about the 27-28 season. That's the year that if they start their tax clock now, the 27-28 season, they will be considered repeat offenders, and the penalties skyrocket.
So I would think he would say we're not going to be
So
there.
they could push it off one more year.
They could push it off one more year. If they don't go into the tax until next year, now they are a tax-paying team in 28-29. In 27-28, they still have their core under contract except Donovan. Donovan, as of now, I think he's got a player option for that year. He's not going to pick that up unless something weird happens. So you would have to renegotiate a new deal with him. and the starting salary for him around that year is $65 million
Yes.
for that 1 year.
I think it is very, very, very critical that they don't go into that. Jason Lloyd, I think I just heard you say, if I'm not mistaken, do you want to repeat part of the end of what you just said?
About what? On the show open or just now?
No. You were talking about
$65 million?
No, earlier you would.
I have ADD. I don't remember what I said.
Talking about Adam Silver?
No. We'll come back to it.
All right.
We'll come back to it because I want you to talk about Adam Silver.
Okay.
He made a comment recently. Everybody's trying to figure out this load management thing. Players are taking nights off. It's bad for ratings. It's bad for attendance. Not attendance. It's bad for the fan experience. Adam Silver, who's a paradigm breaker, he comes outside the box. He's the one that really brought gambling into pro sports, legalized gambling. It was him that he was the one that made the first comment to do it. He now says maybe we should make the quarters 10 minutes instead of 12.
We have the soundbite if you guys want to hear.
Play it.
Let's play it, Steve.
Something else that I'm a fan of, and I'm probably in a minority, as we get more involved in global basketball, the NBA is the only league that plays 48 minutes. And I am a fan of 4 10-minute quarters. I'm not sure that many others are. I mean, putting aside what it means for records and things like that, I think that a 2-hour format for a game is more consistent with sort of modern television habits. I don't think people in arenas aren't asking us to shorten the game, but I think as a television program, being 2 hours, that's Olympic basketball is 2 hours. College basketball, of course, is
Yeah, but
is
if
40
you
minutes.
like it, I'd say it has kind of a little bit of a push there.
Yeah, but it's such a dramatic change to the game. I mean, I think something like that would have to be talked more about over time.
Jason, go.
Yeah, Adam, you're in the minority. That's insane.
He might be alone.
And by the way, if you cut this to 10-minute quarters, you just cut your product by 17%. You just made TV executives pay $76 billion with a B, and now you're cutting their opportunity to air more commercials. So they're not going to go for that. You're not cutting the star players' minutes in a 40-minute game. Donovan Mitchell's still going to play his allotted 32 minutes or whatever. So you're cutting the bench guys. You're cutting the veterans on the bench. You're cutting their minutes. They're not going to be happy with that. At no point in no world does this make sense. Adam Silver is losing his mind over the plummeting TV ratings and just literally throwing stuff against the wall now to see what sticks. The check is in the mail, guys. The ratings, yeah, it's an issue. It is. But you just negotiated this deal, so the money is coming. But doing irrational things like this to try and solve it, people aren't going to suddenly watch the entire game now because you're cutting 8 minutes off it. They're still going to watch it on YouTube. They're still only going to watch the last 5 minutes of the game. This doesn't solve any of that.
I think he's trying to scare him straight. He knows all that, everything you just said. He said, "Hey, I think this is about load management and minutes management." I think the later part of that clip that we didn't air, he talked about those extra minutes, how that takes off, roughly 15 or 20 games off of their legs in terms of the minutes over the cumulative factor.
But it takes it off the veterans because you want to play your best players. Their minutes aren't going to change.
He gets that. He's just telling them, "Hey, listen, it could be worse.
By
you
the
guys
way,
want to keep sitting out? Go ahead. We can do some things to be punitive."
If you, sorry to cut you off, G. If you want to make games a little quicker without cutting out minutes, if that's a goal, less timeouts, and we got to stop with the intentional fouls at the end of the games. The end of the halves are so boring because there's a million timeouts and there's a million fouls.
But the timeouts lead back to the television revenue.
Yeah. They all go hand in hand.
But that's the bottom line is this is crazy. We in the media discuss what's better for the league all the time. When I don't give a what's better for the league. The leagues don't care about the fans at all. They only make decisions that are better for their bottom line. That's the only thing that matters. Because what would be better for the fans is if there was a salary cap and a salary floor in baseball. What would be better for the fans is if only 6 teams made the playoffs in the NBA. Because then every player would have to play hard every game if only 6 teams made the playoffs. They don't care about the fans and debating what's better for the league. Why do we even care what's better for the league?
Because that's the reality of it, because it makes them more money. And that, you're right, that's what they care about. So they're not going to do anything that cuts off their revenue stream.
You said something that should be addressed. The check is in the mail. It is the job of the commissioner to maximize income, not just for this year or for this TV contract. They're ultimately responsible for the health of the game. That's what they're the shepherd of the game.
Yeah.
Whichever
For the owners.
No, the shepherd. The commissioner is the shepherd of the game. The commissioner represents the owners. But Adam Silver is nuts here, and here's why. His problem right now, and you used the right word, plummeting TV ratings. Why is that of such a concern? Doesn't matter this year, doesn't matter next year. He's afraid it's the wave, it's the front of the wave, that it's a coming trend. And by the way, he's not wrong. They're going to stay where they are or go down. It's because the way we now watch, you said it, watch the last 2 minutes of the game. There are times I do that. I don't need to watch the whole game, especially if it's not the Cavs.
Yeah.
In this case, Adam Silver's trying to fix a problem with something that would become a bigger problem. He would cut 17% of his revenue. So are you willing, Adam Silver, to take 17% less money on the next TV deal? Well, let me answer that for you.
No.
He'd be fired immediately. So and it's not going to happen. All right, we're taking a break. When we come back, the Browns have some free agents that could move to other teams. Of them, which is the most important one, they absolutely have to sign. The answer, according to Pro Football Focus, might shock you.
Is there an important one?
That's what I said. What? Let them all go. Welcome back to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. So it's free agent season almost in the NFL, and this is always a tough time for teams because they have to figure out which players they have that are free agents that could move do you need to keep, and which free agents from other teams do you want to bring into the fold. Jason made a funny statement going to break that was my first reaction. Do we want any of these guys?
You won 3 games last year.
We were 3-14. Now, of them, who is of the utmost importance to bring back? According to Pro Football Focus, it is linebacker Devin Bush.
Oh, my God.
Who I
this is
don't
where
hate,
we're at.
but I would never have him on a list of guys we absolutely must sign.
The Browns have nobody. There's nobody. And the Browns should sit out free agency, honestly, because they need to be 100% focused on the draft. They have no good young players.
Well, don't you have to use free agency to build your team now?
You have to.
I disagree with that.
All those guys they draft rookies are not going to make the team.
No, and they're question marks. The thing about free agency is these guys are known commodities. Give me the known at this
there's
point.
a reason most guys get to free agency because they're not worth the money they're going to get paid. Most, not all.
Is T. Higgins?
He is. He should never get the free agency. If he does get the free agency, the Bengals have failed.
But I agree with that, by the way. But they also got a guy in Hendricks.
It's irrelevant. They should sign them all. They got plenty of cap room.
Wow.
It's a no-brainer.
There are teams that let go of great players because they can't keep them.
If I'm Joe Burrow and the Bengals don't sign Chase, Higgins, and Hendrickson, I'm demanding a trade. He should do that, and every Bengal fan should stop watching.
Well, I hope he
Who
does
do the
that because I
Browns
don't think
have
they're
to
going to do that.
Well, listen, I don't think they have to re-sign anybody.
They don't have to re-sign anybody.
I agree.
None of those guys are any good.
If you take a look at it, and if it's Devin Bush, you're in trouble. I think this is a really tough situation because it just highlights that you don't have linebackers. You don't.
And with the question mark around JOK.
We don't even know if he's going to play anymore.
Guys,
but
the
left
Browns
tackle,
only have the Browns' best player under 25 is Martin Emerson.
And
That's how bad they are when it comes to young
I don't think
talent.
they're going to sign him.
That's an indictment.
Well,
on
he's
the
not a
draft.
free agent.
I mean, but
when he's up
after this year, he'll be a free agent. I don't think they're going
He
to sign
and
him.
Greg Newsome are up after this year, but there's nobody that's a free agent for the Browns
is
that's
why-
worth signing.
Wait,
Here's
so-
the top names,
Okay.
just in case people know.
Yeah.
Just top names. Nick Chubb. I mean,
Well, they should re-sign Nick Chubb.
He's in
coming
the
back.
category all of his
He's
own.
coming back.
But
It's not important, but-
production. Do you need Nick Chubb?
No.
If his name wasn't Nick Chubb.
Well, there you
no.
go. Jed Wills,
No.
No.
Jameis Winston,
No.
G,
No, I mean, they're going to have to get another veteran quarterback, but no.
Elijah Moore.
No, he's not coming back either.
None of those guys.
No.
I mean, right there. That's the top 5, and there's no one there that we can bang the table for and say
Okay, you know what? If we had to pick one, for me,
it's
it's
Nick
Winston.
Chubb. It's Nick Chubb
I'd
for
pick
me.
Nick Chubb.
Just
Well,
for emotional, sentimental
Yeah.
Okay,
reasons.
for sentimental. If we're going on production, then
I think he'll be much better next year.
I'd bring back Nick Chubb.
Yeah.
I retract my statement that nobody's worth bringing back. I say Nick Chubb's worth bringing back.
Okay.
as the number 2 running back.
Well,
And if you
emotionally,
can't find a veteran quarterback, you might be bringing Jameis Winston back.
he might be the best one available.
Because they need to make the
the
whole
best
room.
one available is irrelevant. It's who's the best for the young quarterback they're going to have. Doesn't matter how good the guy is. Browns can't win a Super Bowl with any veteran
And quite
quarterback.
frankly, a vast majority of veterans, I don't think, have any interest in mentoring a young guy. They're trying to win. And
Andy
What about
Dalton,
Kirk
that's why I want
Cousins?
Andy Dalton.
What's that?
No.
What about Kirk Cousins?
He's never been in that position. It's hard to say.
He was with
No,
Penix
but
this year.
what I read about
true.
how
You're
he
right.
handled the situation this year in Atlanta is the kind of guy I would love to have in here.
I want Dalton because I know he's good with young quarterbacks. Bryce Young loves him.
Who is the guy, Josh, the old Browns veteran quarterback?
McCown.
Yeah.
Thank you. Josh
He's the
McCown.
quarterbacks coach.
Yeah,
in,
he is. He's in
Minnesota.
coaching.
But
now.
he was the guy who enjoyed that role,
Yeah.
who took guys under his wing. But for the most part, most of them are Joe Flacco. He's like, I don't
Yeah.
care about you, man. I'm trying to
Right,
play.
but Dalton's been a backup for a number of years. He knows he's a backup now. That's why I want him.
And I'm going to tell you what, he might be mentoring more than one. Because if I'm the Cleveland Browns, I got to have a veteran and I'm drafting 2 quarterbacks.
Yeah.
There's not a
Why
single
not?
veteran that's going to
Operation
make the Browns
Stockpile.
win in the playoffs, let alone unlikely to get to the playoffs. They're not going to win in the
Garrett's
playoffs.
right. Take 2 quarterbacks.
taking
You
2.
can't find one.
That's right.
Listen,
Keep throwing darts. Maybe you hit on multiples.
I think they will draft 2. I really do. To your original point about they should sit out free agency, I mean,
Yeah.
there's 2 ways you build your team. And I do not want to see the Browns put it all on the draft because they haven't been good in the draft.
Well,
They're
have
good
to
at
be good,
trades.
otherwise they're not
and
gonna
decent
win.
at free
they
agency.
have acquired some talent through free agency that they've worked out.
What? Who's been a difference maker in free agency?
Name the draft picks.
So he ain't got no draft picks.
I mean,
By this regime.
But they got to turn it around now.
Okay, so guys do better.
I mean,
Well, they haven't had a
if
first-round pick in 3 years. That's
Well,
when
that's part of
That's
it.
when you have the biggest variety. To
if they
choose
can't
from.
turn it
That's
around,
their
then it's
fault, by the
irrelevant.
way.
They're not going. This team's not going to be turned around by free agency. All their good players are old. They got to get younger. That's what's important.
That's
right
true.
now.
Yeah, but I mean, if you just use one avenue to get your team better, I think that would be.
They
a
will
disaster.
they will sign free agents.
Yeah, they better. Okay, we're taking a break. Cleveland State basketball. They have the 2nd longest win streak in college basketball right now. We're going to give Cleveland State some love on the other side of the break. Welcome back to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Time to give some love to Cleveland State. We don't do that very often,
No.
but you know, this is the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, and right now they're in the middle of a terrific season. Last night, they won for the 13th straight time. They are running away with the Horizon League. Again, they're not going to get 2 bids out of that conference, so you
Nope.
better win the tournament at
Yep.
the end of the season,
Yeah.
or none of this means anything. What do you guys make of that? This is exciting for Cleveland college hoops fans.
Are they getting good attendance at all? Do we know what their attendance is like? Because it is a very cool story. Hopefully, I mean, they are the definition of Cinderella if they make the tournament.
Sure.
I know the Horizon League is not highly thought of compared to, unlike football, there's a lot of leagues, and at least in basketball, you have a chance. In college football, you don't really have a chance for the most part. Well, you do now if you're the best team of the other
Yeah, but like the
conferences.
Boise States
Right.
and the SMUs,
Yeah,
they got dinged.
They got one shot.
Yeah.
But listen, we're not phonies. We don't pay attention to Cleveland State basketball. We don't know the players well at all. We don't know. But good for them. It's a local team. People should get behind them. And if they make the tournament, we'll certainly root for them to win.
100%.
You know,
Then they'll have plenty of fans.
It's tough. I think they made it back when Norris Cole played for them and made the tournament. And I come from the MAC. When you take a look at the Horizon League, they're not getting no at-large bid, so they got to win their tournament. So it's tough sometimes that you can have a really good regular season, maybe have 21, 22, 23 wins, and lose in the finals of your conference tournament, and you don't get in. So hopefully they can keep riding the wave into the tournament, because obviously if you win the tournament, you get to go to the March. You can be a part of March Madness. So we'll see how it goes. But 13 wins is hard to do at any level.
I'm going to
So
say something
watch it.
controversial. I'm actually rooting for them to lose.
Oh, boy.
I don't want them to carry this long win streak into the conference tournament.
Right.
Because it comes with added
Yeah,
pressure.
that is
Get
pressure.
the loss out of the way,
Yeah.
take the lessons from the loss, and get better, and then make your run in March. Danielle Robinson is doing a phenomenal job. The players love him. We interview them on a pretty regular basis. I think we do a good job upstairs on Channel 3 of highlighting their games, previewing their games. He's a terrific coach. He's very, very likable. It's hard not to root for him. He's going to do a terrific job there. This is quite a program. I go back.
Yeah.
You mentioned some of the other guys. I go back to '86 when they damn near beat Navy.
Yeah.
Kevin Mackey.
Kevin Mackey and Mouse McFadden.
Shout out to Al Pulowski. He does their play-by-play.
He does. So go Vikings. Go check them out. Have a great weekend. See you Monday.
Peace.